So Jackson Shelstad and KJ Evans were integral parts of Oregon's round of 32 team a season ago, Pac-12 tournament champs, of course, and I think they go into the Big Ten as one of the 3 or 4 favorites in the league. Certainly, having Supreme Cook instead of N'Faly Dante is a step down, but I like the Supreme Cook addition. Veteran guy, productive, capable, reliable. You know what you're going to get from him in more than one sense. But what Oregon accomplishes this season may very well come down to how their 2 young 5-star sophomores make the leap from year 1 to year 2. And Mookie Cook wasn't in this particular question that came in from Lucas, who asked, how big of a jump do you think Jackson and KJ will make? Do you think either could break out and make up for some of the scoring we lost? I'll get to that in a sec. We don't know what Mookie Cook is. They all 3 came in together in the class of 2023 as 5 stars. Shelstad and Evans were starters basically the whole year. Evans, I think, started more games because there was a stretch where he was, having to essentially play the 5 when they would take Mo Diawara out, and Shelstad was kind of working his way into being the starting point guard, but he was by the end of the year. And I mean, Shelstad is so good. That guy is ridiculously good. And it's crazy to say because Peyton Pritchard just won an NBA championship with the Celtics. He's the backup point guard, but he's really good. And he was incredible at Oregon by the end. Shelstad, as a freshman, is further along than Peyton Pritchard was. We'll see how Shelstad's game evolves. I think there is an absolute possibility that he puts up numbers that either rival or surpass Peyton Pritchard's one day, depending on the team around him. Pritchard put up crazy numbers in part because he had to. He had Chris Duarte and Anthony Mathis and not too many other scorers all the time. I think he might have been on a team with Eugenio Marui, who was good, but that's all blending together in my head, and I'm getting sidetracked here. So Shelstad and Evans are 2 guys that are absolutely capable of making big leaps for different reasons, and one that is the same. The reason that's the same is I think their field goal attempts are going to go up. We'll see if they maintain their efficiency, but Shelstad for a point guard, especially a true freshman, was crazy efficient last year. He averaged just under 13 points a game. He shot at 35% from beyond the arc, which is a good clip. He was 45% from the floor. When you look at guards across the country, basketball is a tall man's game. Guards typically are in the low 40s, sometimes even the high 30s, and they're not the most efficient scorers, but they can be volume scorers because they get a lot of shots up. If Shelstad's field goal attempts per game, and he attempted the second most field goals on Oregon's team last year, second only to Kuznard, if he is the leader in shot attempts and maintains that efficiency, 20-point-a-game scorer. Not kidding. He can score at 3 levels. He can score with 2 hands. He's a tough shot maker. He reads the defense as well. He's a good passer. I mean, he is so worth the hype. He is absolutely awesome. But I don't think it's crazy for Shelstad to lead the team in scoring and or field goal attempts this year. Now, Evans is the one that could make a bigger leap by percentage. So Shelstad was 13 points a game last year. With all the guys they brought in, he'll probably be closer to 16, 17 points per game. And Kuznard last year was 16.5 points per game, and Dante was 17 points per game. So on average, Oregon needs to find about 34 points per. That's a pretty hefty amount to make up. Now, Nate Biddle, if he's healthy, that could be a 12 to 13 point a game score, maybe even more than that. And Brandon Angel, yeah, he can score as well. And TJ Bamba, he can score too. I think Evans is going to be a big part of this offense. His talent is immense, and I think they convinced him to come back because they know that he's so talented. That's why they recruited him, of course, and that he's going to have a larger role in the offense because he was 5th in field goal attempts last year on a team that really had 3 scorers who I'd say were definitely more capable than him for his true freshman season. And that was Kuznard, Dante, and Shelstad. And in one-on-one situations, frankly, he and Dante were probably pretty close. I mean, he's got a jump shot, and N'Faly Dante does not, but Dante, made a lot of his own shots. So I think that, and what I mean by that is, getting offensive rebounds or just dominating with position, whereas Evans was more of a complementary piece. KJ Evans last year averaged 7 points a game. He shot at 45% from the field, which is a number I also think can go up in large part if he increases his 3-point percentage. He was just under 27% from deep last season, I fully expect that number to go up. He does not have a glitchy or kind of shot or a hitch in his shot. I don't know why I said glitch. Hitch is obviously the right word. He doesn't have a funky shot. He's comfortable out there. He can catch and shoot, knock down a three. If he raises that percentage to just even the low 30s, but gosh almighty, if he really works on it, if the coaching staff gets with him like they did with Kuznard, who wasn't a great three-point shooter at South Carolina, but was around like 34, 35% this past year, if Evans makes that sort of leap, that dude is also a dynamic three-level scorer. He can put it on the floor. He can hit the mid-range. He can post up. I think his post-up game can use a little bit of work, but he's got a fadeaway aspect that is filthy good. I look at him, I see a lot of Chris Bosh, not just because he's lefty, but stylistically, I see Chris Bosh. And a guy like that can really easily, because of his versatility, be a 15-point-a-game scorer. But if you're trying to find 34 points per game that you're trying to make up. If you put Shelstad up to, let's say, 17 a game, okay, there's 4. Now you need to make up 30 more. I think Evans can be at least a 12-point-a-game scorer. Now you're missing 25. TJ Bamba is probably in the 10 to 12 range. Nate Biddle, also probably in the 10 to 12 range. I think they're capable of more, but there are just so many mouths to feed on this offense. I think the ball's going to get spread around a lot. And then Brandon Angel and guys like Raheem Moss off the bench will chip in points. You'll have Keyshawn Bartholomew there. I'm not worried about what this team and Supreme Cook, 10-point-a-game scorer last year, not a slouch offensively. I think his offensive role probably goes down with the role he's going to play on this team. But for Evans and Shelstad, yeah, I think that they are capable of making a year 2 leap, and I think Oregon needs them to make that sort of year 2 leap and to be the foundational pieces, maybe even of the team the following year as well. It's really hard to predict what is going to happen with all these guys and will they stick around and everything like that, or will they go to the NBA because, Evans especially has got NBA draft potential. Shelstad is smaller. I could see Shelstad being at least a 3-year guy with the Ducks. Maybe not 4, because if he fully develops, then yeah, if Pritchard has a role in the NBA, Shelstad could too. They're both small, but Shelstad's actually quicker and a better athlete, and I think has got a better mid-range game at this point in his career. Pritchard was a little, I think, kind of craftier because he had to be, because he's not quite as explosive athletically. But I think I am as high as you can possibly be on both of these guys. And don't sleep. Shelstad needs to improve his on-ball defense, but he got a lot of steals and he gets out in transition. Like, he's just so explosive and quick. Evans' defensive capability is already at such a high level. Like, he is an all-conference caliber guy if his offense rounds into form. If he starts hitting threes, let's say he shoots 33% from beyond the arc next year, I think he'll be close to 15 points a game. He'll absolutely be starting for Oregon. He'll still be in the 6-7 rebound department. I think he'll average a block per, and don't be surprised if he's like a first or second team All Big Ten selection. First team, there are a lot of players in the league, and that's a tough list to crack, but I won't be surprised if he gets there next year or if he stays for another season the following year, because the defensive capabilities he showcased as a true freshman were remarkably good. When Dante went down and Evans would start at the 4, they'd put Mo Diawara out there to be a big body, but then in end-of-game situations, and for a majority of the game, KJ Evans was the 5. He was playing as a smaller 5, and he was a great rim protector. I was thoroughly impressed. And he can defend multiple positions too. I think these guys are every bit as talented as we thought they were when they committed as 5 stars in the class of 2023. And I think going into this year, I'd be shocked if KJ Evans is under 10 points per game. And I'd be shocked if Shelstad is under 15 a game. Even with all the guys they've brought in who are going to help Oregon score this year, I think their talent is just, they're going to be the focal point of what Oregon does this season, and I think they absolutely should be. Great question. Keep them coming in. YouTube comments, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, whatever you'd like to call it. Or if you want priority access, you can join Subtext as well. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Ducks.